Hello, this is Ken Ferry with this week's Boots in the Field report. Going to do something a little different this week. A lot of you guys have been asking about our partners to the north, how the guys are doing up there in Iowa and the northern part of the Corn Belt as far as the storms, especially this last one that came through August 10th. What kind of damage are we seeing a week afterwards? How'd the beans do? And fielding a lot of questions there. And I decided today to do something different. We're gonna get some guys on the phone and do a conference call that are living up in the area where these storms have went through. Try to get a first-hand experience. Maybe we'll head to the north and get right in the middle of it and work our way on over to the east side. So we're gonna let you listen in on a conference call we had with 3 different operations.
All right, so let's start out with you guys there in the north. Brandon and Joe, state your name and give us a location as far as where your operation's at, and kind of describe what we could see if we were looking out your front window today.
Joe Malachek from Osage, Iowa, and my
Brandon Barker, also from Osage, Iowa.
We're up on the Iowa-Minnesota border. Things look pretty good here. We are a little short on rain, but if you're looking out, we're looking out the office window right now, and it's pretty lush and green. We would like some rain or could use some rain. It's been spotty, and north of us, I think they got an inch a couple nights ago. We didn't get a drop just 3 miles north of us here, so we're getting hit and miss little rains. But after consecutive years of what I've considered average to poor crops, we've got a good crop here. So we have missed that central Iowa storm.
If you look at this crop compared to the past, is it in the top 10 crops or higher? Or?
Yep. When I'm out in the field with customers, I'm finding a lot of 16, 18 rounds by high 30s to mid 40s on length, and the kernels are yellow to the tip. So I think we're going to hang on to them barring anything drastic. So beans got planted really early. Everybody went after it on beans early. A lot of guys done by late April or May 1st with beans. And we're seeing the fruits of that right now. A lot of pods still flowering. Like I say, if we could just catch another rain, these flowers on top, I think are going to do us some good.
Your harvest look like it's going to be on schedule?
We're ahead. So I just looked yesterday. I think we were at 1,700 GDUs, and a lot of the fields when I'm in with customers are in dent or starting to dent now.
So tell us about the storm. What did you guys see in that storm there on August 10th?
We watched it. We watched it go by. Got really dark blue to the south. We had no effects. We actually had no rain. We just saw it get really dark blue to the south, and again watched it on radar. My mother-in-law lives in Clinton, Iowa, actually in Fulton, Illinois, across the river from Clinton, Iowa on the Mississippi. So we went to help Saturday. She did not have power as of Saturday night. Drove down Interstate 80 through Iowa City, Davenport, and then on the way back came 30 and cut up to Highway 64 and just went through the whole from Interstate 80 to 15, 20 miles north of Cedar Rapids. It's the same nightmare. It's amazing. My heart goes out to those guys. It's amazing, the damage.
We had considerable amount of damage on the July storm. Were you guys, is that east of you yet, or did you guys get?
No, we were in the heart of that. So July 8th, we got, it was short, but it was quick, and we were at the wrong stage. We weren't not pollinating for the most part yet. Brace roots were just starting to come out. We lodged a lot of corn. Thankfully, it came up right away and got stood up and got pollinated. So we have a lot of goose corn. There's corn out here. Rootworms, Ken, are heavy this year in this part. I think because we haven't had the rains to drown any. A lot of rootworm feeding. So guys that weren't aware of that or paying attention to it, that wind was pretty hard on that. Corn is still a mess. But a lot of corn is goosed, but it isn't much. And we were able to pollinate. And I think I told you when I talked to you last week that we still have the same number around on those gooseneck ears. They're about 5 or 6 kernels short, which when we did our math, it was still almost 30 bushels in places. But we at least have a harvestable year on there.
So you're thinking potentially 30 bushel hit from the July storm just in tip fill, but at least you're going to harvest it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think in general, we are in very good shape here. Flew in an airplane last week, and anything that's light, any sand pockets, you can see them long ways away. We're burning up. The beans especially are hurting in the light ground, but in general, we're pretty good.
Next 20 days, rainfall is going to make a difference out there.
We,
Both corn and beans.
we need another good shot in corn, and we need another drink of the beans, and I think we'll be in the driver's seat.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of potential there. Probably more potential than we've ever seen with the beans, as far as flowers and pods in the lower part of the canopy. But we don't get the rain. It's hard to say what's actually going to fill out with all that potential that's actually there.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time today. Let's move on down to Scott. Scott, you're kind of in the armpit of this storm. I know you were shipping cattle this morning, trying to deal with the storm issues that you had there. Give us a perspective of where your crop was, and then where it is today, and maybe what we would see if we were in your neighborhood as far as the kind of storm damage that we're hearing about, especially now that we're basically a week past the event.
It's a week ago right now to the hour when we started assessing the damage from our hurricane. Like Joe said, we were looking fantastic at side dress time, sending in our nitrates. Our yield goals we were going to try and keep up with you boys in Illinois this year with our yield goals in June there. We had a hell of a crop going. And then, like Joe said, July 8th came along and gave us a little shot of rain, but we paid for it dearly with wind and gooseneck and green snap. And anyhow, that was a little bit north of us. I live in Rhinebeck, which is southwest of Waterloo, about 25 miles. And the storm that clobbered us a week ago started to affect our area about 8 miles west of me and only 2 miles north. So some of this corn that got goosenecked in July, we thought that was a real holy cow situation. It was unaffected by the hurricane, so now we're scoring gooseneck and green snap from July as standing corn and excited about picking that.
You changed your mind what down it really is, huh?
It really did. We were cataloging this field all summer long with the drone and watching it stand back up and watching how this hybrid was handling getting beat up pre-tassel, and now all of a sudden nobody cares about that field anymore. We're worried about the ones that are ankle high. So anyhow, like I said, that storm just started 8 miles west of where our location is and 2 miles north of us. And the first thing it did to us was it took down both our cattle buildings are gone right now. So we got cattle standing out in the sunshine and very fortunate none of them escaped and got away because we're all confinement. So that was probably the most devastating for us. Our grain handling facility, fortunately, sustained minor damage, and we'll be able to right that ship by the time we get to start drying corn. So Matt and I are feeling very fortunate that we'll be able to dry corn and handle corn this fall, because there's just tens of millions of bushels of grain bin storage, on-farm storage that's just gone, and hundreds of millions of bushel of storage at elevators that are just wiped out. Those really neat new 6-pack looking storage facilities that you see in the farm magazines, numbers of those laying in piles around us. We went and looked at one yesterday. We looked at one on Saturday. The amazing thing is, I don't know where all this corn is that the government says is there, because these bins are empty. And all the bins that blew away, a lot of them are really low on inventory. So that damage for those guys that got to try and pick down corn, they don't have anywhere to go with it, is just got to be.
It'll be tough.
Got to be tough.
Talk to any of these grain dealers as far as are they coming up with a contingency plan for what would have been in those bins? There's no way we can put them back together before harvest.
I have not talked to any commercial storage people. We have rumors going around that one facility has promised their producers that they're going to build a bin every 11 days so that, and in 2 months or so, they'll be back online during harvest. And that's just a rumor. I don't know that for sure. But there's so many farm facilities around that just got destroyed. I don't know. I mean, they can't all get back online. I don't know where this corn's going to go. We're going to have to truck it up to Joe's to find a roof for it.
With the devastation to farm properties and buildings and stuff, what's this corn crop look like? I mean, just how bad is it? Did it change much from last week? Some of the pictures we saw coming in, or what's your plan?
I think it's probably getting worse a week later. The corn I was in, we have ones that are standing, ones that are tipped over, ones that are broke but not detached, and then of course we have some that are just completely broke off of the stalk, so they're not connected to the roots anymore at all. Now those fields are starting to turn brown. You know, that's dying. If you're attached at all, we're still seeing it's staying green yet. It's trying to finish filling. If we're tipped over, you know, we're in that just starting to blister on some of our earlier hybrids. Just a little bit of dent is where we're at there. Some are staying green that are still attached, like I said, and if they're kinked over hard or broke off, those fields are turning brown. Those are going to be a real mess.
You think most of these fields will get harvested? Will some of them just scrap it?
You know, in our neck of the woods, I don't know what, you know, wind insurance coverage is, who has what, as far as if you get to walk away from them, if you got to try and harvest some of it. The stinker of it is you're going to have to try and pick some of it if you want to go back to corn, or the volunteer corn next year is just going to be monumental, or you won't be able to.
Right.
That's the fear I have on my continuous corn farms.
How are the soybeans faring?
You know, it's almost like they were unaffected. I still have really high hopes for our bean crop. Like Joe said, we got them planted all in April. 2/3 of our beans flowered for the solstice. And I know we were dry for a while, but this wind brought us in between 1 inch and 2 inches of rain. And just, you know, they started rocking and rolling again. Our 30-inch row beans had canopied. There's some hope for those beans, and they don't look flat where the corn right beside it's flat. It's going to be, I can't, we had 300 acres of what I thought was bad corn last fall, and it was bad. I guess that was just our warm up for this 2020 harvest tour, because
It'll be out a long time. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I don't think we have it as worse as some of our friends to the south and east in the state.
How big a swath did that end up taking? You know, in miles?
I don't know in miles. Our governor says 14 million acres was affected, 8 on corn and 6 on beans. 43% of our state's crop was affected. 27 disaster counties, and 57 counties were affected by some, but 27 are disasters.
And a double-edged sword, where the grain beds got destroyed, so did the crop. So maybe the demand for storage in that area won't be as big either.
Right. Like Joe said, we lost 30 bushel on our July windstorm on that gooseneck corn. I agree with that's a good number. I don't know what we're going to get in the combine this fall to try and get it done. There's just not going to be enough days and hours to spend the kind of time you would if you only had one field and worked at it to get everything in the corn head.
You said you lost your cattle barns. Did you lose any livestock?
We got lucky. We only lost 2 feeder calves, and 1 cow got dinged up a little bit. So we're in the process of depopulating right now so that we can clean up that mess, clean up, rebuild, whatever. But we got to get all the beasts out of the facility so we can start that. We got our first loads went out today, so a little stressful.
Our prayers go out for you guys, and we appreciate your input on that. And let's slide now to the east side of this storm, or the eastern edge, out into Defiance County, Ohio, and hear from you, Ray, as far as what do we got going on out there. And you're in the northwest corner of Ohio, correct?
Yes, about 30-mile northeast of Fort Wayne, Indiana. After last year, only planting 20% of our acres, we planted our full acreage this spring. Started out dry, was putting pre-chemical down in April. Planted our first beans April 27th, 28th timeframe, and we're done completely planting beans by May 7th. And we had half our corn in, feeling pretty good. We needed another 2 days to put the other half of corn in. And they started talking rain, and we got 5 to 6 inches of rain, and we turned off cold. We had beans laying in the ground for 30 days, 35 days before you seen them. We had to replant 700 acres of corn out of 1,000 that we had planted. And then it finally dried up, and we went back and planted the rest of the corn 1st of June. We've been very dry. We've had 1 inch and 2/10 of rain in June, had 1 inch and 4/10 to 5/10 in July. August 1st came, we had a first 1.5 inches of rain all in one rain event. And then Friday afternoon, we had a very slight chance of rain, and there was some storms that popped up, and it dumped anywhere from 1 inch to 5 inches in the area. Here at the shop, we're still dry. We only got about half our acres that had water. We've had 30 days this summer above 90 degrees. Our crop is behind from too much heat and lack of water.
And being planted late.
And we've pollinated clear to the tips. We've got a lot of 16, 14, and 16 around, 35, 36 long. We just finished pollinating about 10 days ago. It looks like we're going to hold our tips, but we are extremely, extremely dry.
Did you guys see any of the July storm come through there, or were you far enough east to miss that?
We've not had any wind issues. The storm of last week that went through Iowa got to the Indiana-Ohio line. And when it got to, and we're 11 miles from that, when it got to the shop, it was down to 30-mile-an-hour winds. And we got 2/10 of an inch of rain out of it. Our beans have great color, got pretty good height to them. The pod set is good, but I don't know if we're going to put a cluster on top of the beans because we just don't have any moisture.
How big of an area are we seeing some of that similarity to it? Does that stretch down into central Ohio as well?
It's probably from I-70 north.
So more north.
It's more the northern half of the state, but I know I've listened to some guys in the southern half, and they say they're dry. And the southeast part is not a lot of farmland down there, but they've been getting rain.
So it sounds like you guys are similar to Joe as far as you need some rain, but you need rain for the next 60 days as far as getting that June planted corn through. Did she pollinate in one quick move?
It looks like we pollinated everything in 3 days.
Oh. So we still got some potential to make it back to average, would you say, or you still think?
I would say if we would get rain, we could possibly meet our APH.
Wow, cool.
But if it don't rain, our kernels are going to be shallow and light, and our beans are going to be buckshot.
So watching the weather map here the next 15 days is going to make a difference both for you and Ray. Scott, it's probably not going to make any difference whether you get rain out there as far as you got the water from the storm to finish these beans, you think?
We're going to need one more shot to finish it to really make a big bean crop. It'd be fun to have a little bit more. Because a lot of our beans we were dry from June 29th till August 10th, so they were out of water. And not everybody got an inch of rain. It started to peter out as it went north, and of course they didn't get the wind damage to go with it either. So maybe they're happy with no wind and no rain. I don't know.
So you can harvest some down corn till you get frustrated, then switch over to some maybe good yielding beans for a while and bring your spirits back up and then go back to the down corn.
Exactly. I think you're gonna see a lot of neighbors helping neighbors. Those guys are gonna come out of the north and work their way south and help some guys. They're just gonna have to. It's just tough. And then the other thing, you guys have lost shops around here too. You drive around our countryside and you just see a whole nice lineup of equipment sitting beside the grove, and you can see the 120 foot by 80 foot machine shed laying in a pile waiting for the backhoes and the dozers to clear it off so they can rebuild. So it's all here if you want to come see a mess.
It's not like one tornado though. It's like a 2-3 county wide deal.
Yeah, it's just like a hurricane, just kept going.
One last question there, and I'll let you guys go. What about the seed, Scott? There's a lot of seed corn produced up and down that corridor where the storm went through. Has your seed acres or Matt's taken a hit, or what can you see in the neighborhood as far as our seed stock up there?
My guess is if they had the male rows destroyed, yep, there's some seed corn that's flat, but there's a lot of it that's just gooseneck pretty good. I think they'll be able to pick it. Now, what it has on for kernels, and I haven't seen any of that, but they're going to get some of the seed corn picked that the male rows are destroyed on. Now, if the male rows are still in there and it's goosenecked as bad as what it is, I don't know that they'll have to abandon it because they can't sort the male and female out. But there was quite a bit of destroying already done, so I don't have a good handle on that, but
may not be as bad as we think.
Right. There's going to be some seed corn there. I think they'll be able to get it. Yes. They might not get to go as fast as they're used to.
Well, if nothing else, Scott, you make us feel good no matter whether Ray's dry or if we got replant down here. You've lifted our spirits a little. I'm sorry we can't do anything for you guys. You guys there as far as the amount of damage you got.
We're trying like hell to get this corn market up by just discing ours under. But
we appreciate your effort. Thanks a lot, guys, for the time today. Our group will really appreciate your input of what's going on to the north. So thanks a lot.
So with that call, we kind of got an insight on what those guys are dealing with, and some of the things that we're dealing with here in Central Illinois do seem to be simple after listening to what Scott and the Matt are going to be faced with out there this fall. Really appreciate them guys helping us out in the podcast. To wrap up the podcast, we believe that we had a very exceptional day for our virtual field day. We appreciate all you guys that tuned in and the amount of them that tuned in. We had a lot of new field day viewers that came in through the virtual event and got a lot of great questions, and I appreciate you guys pumping those questions in so we could answer them back for you on time. And I do appreciate the time you took to fill out the survey that was shipped to you afterwards, and you can still do that if you haven't already, but we learned a lot of things from that survey. A lot of good feedbacks on what we could tweak if we have to do this again in the future as a virtual field day. I think some of the big takeaways from the survey that you guys filled out was the overwhelming number of you that said it met or surpassed your expectations of what a field day would be virtual. That was great. That's what we were shooting for. One of the questions on the survey that really opened the eyes of, I guess, everybody here, when we're talking about would you prefer the field day in person? Does it make any difference at all? Or would you prefer it virtual? Feedback from that survey said 45% of you would still prefer it in person, which we'd expect that number to be a lot higher. 17%, it really didn't make any difference. After that event, you could go either way. 38% said that they'd actually prefer a virtual field day after viewing that one that we put on. So that is very encouraging to the crew and all the work that they put into it, that we brought you something that basically is somewhat equal to a live field day. The other surprise I guess we had in there, we asked a question about the temperature of the room and the food for the day, and Katie was wondering why so many of you actually rated your food and your temperature below average. So that's something we could control ourselves. So I'm guessing a few of you there were maybe eating hot dogs and drinking some cold coffee or something. But it was surprising to see the good response. We're excited about that. Make us feel that we went in the right direction. We do have the Corn College, the Farm Journal Corn Soybean College coming up. There's still time to register for that virtual day. If you get it done quickly, we will be closing that registration 5 o'clock the night before. So those of you that are coming to the Corn College event, it is got a large amount of sign up on it. We're excited about that. People from all over the United States and Canada. So we're excited to see what kind of questions that we get from the group as we go through the live Q&A. So to stay up to date, check out our website at croptechinc.com and subscribe to our podcast, Boots in the Field Report. Keep her safe, keep her moving.